Over the weekend, Donald Trump announced that his chief of staff, John Kelly, is leaving at the end of the year, something that all of us have known since probably about 6 months ago when these stories first started emerging that John Kelly was going to be out by the end of the year. But nonetheless, Donald Trump announced it, and he also said, don't worry, folks, I have a long list. There are a lot of people out there who want this job, so everything at the White House is going to be awesome. No. As it stands right now, there's nobody that wants this job. Nick Ayers, who was Mike Pence's chief of staff, was the guy that was going to do it. And then he came out and said, nope, not only do I not want to do it, I'm going to go ahead and leave Mike Pence as well. I'm out. Thank you all. I'm going to go work for a dark money group and make a ton of cash. But best of luck finding new chiefs of staff, you morons. Then the rumor was Mnuchin. Mnuchin says no. Dear God, no, I don't want that job. I want to stay where I'm at, please. Thank you, sir. There was Mick Mulvaney from the OMB who also says, no, not going to do that. I'm going to stay where I'm at. There was also Robert Lighthizer with the U.S. Trade, he's our U.S. Trade Representative, who also said, I don't think I want that position either. So right now we have a lot of people out there saying, thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to be your chief of staff. And a president out there saying, no, there are plenty of good people who want this job. So here's what's going to happen. First and foremost, we're not going to get anybody taking this job that's actually going to fix the problems of Donald Trump. Nobody's going to rein in his Twitter feed. That's where John Kelly's biggest failure came from. trying to make Trump act like a president. You know, John Kelly was going to be the adult in the room. We all heard that talking point. John Kelly was coming to bring this, maturity and respect to the office. And he ended up ruining his entire reputation, and this is now what he's going to be known for in history books. And he screwed over his entire legacy because he couldn't even stop a psychotic man from tweeting. So yeah, John Kelly's toast, his reputation's toast, but so is his position. Because who is going to want to go work for a man who, number one, does not want to listen to you? He wants a spineless yes man or yes woman in that position. John Kelly wasn't going to do that. That's why he butted heads with the president. That's why they argued all the time. That's why John Kelly walked around the White House pissed off, trying to fight everybody, like the time he tried to fight Michael Bolton outside of the, John Bolton, outside of the Oval Office. But Donald Trump was just named as an unindicted conspirator in a federal crime. Who wants to go work for that guy? Who wants to be a part of this? As the expression goes, they're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at this point. Trump's entire presidency right now is going down in flames. There's a chance it's going to recover. There's probably a good chance it is going to recover. But while it is sinking, no person in their right mind would take on that position. And that's what's even more scary, because no person in their right mind would take that job. So we're going to get somebody who maybe not is a clear thinker, somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing, but they just want the title and they want to work with Trump, and so they're going to tell him yes to whatever crazy idea he has that day. That's the kind of person we're going to get to fill this slot. Maybe it's a Sean Hannity. Maybe it's a Lou Dobbs. Maybe it's somebody even worse than those two. But I can promise you, it's going to be somebody on par with them. Maybe a spineless yes-man congressman. Hey, Matt Gaetz would make a perfect idiot whipping boy as Donald Trump's chief of staff. Time will tell. Trump swears he's going to have somebody in position by the end of this year. And I can promise you, it's not going to be a person that's going to make anyone in this country proud. One of today's video sponsors is Skillshare.com. Skillshare.com offers thousands of tutorials for any skill you may be looking for, whether it's to just better yourself as a person, or perhaps you need to learn a new skill for a new job or career advancement. Whatever it is, Skillshare.com has exactly what you need. Me personally, I've been going through and I'm actually taking one of the courses right now on video editing. Something I know nothing about, but obviously given my career, something I really need to learn about. And I am learning a lot right now from the courses available on Skillshare.com. And as an added bonus, if you follow the custom URL on the screen right now, there's also a link to it in the description of this video, skl.sh/ROF. The first 500 users to sign up at that custom URL are going to get 2 months absolutely free. That's 2 months to surf through the entire Skillshare.com catalog, whether you want to learn about cooking, video editing, Photoshop, business techniques, or even just how to make a resume. Skillshare.com has everything you could possibly need.
Now we have some breaking news for you in the politics lead. A new name is emerging as a top contender to replace John Kelly as White House Chief of Staff. A source close to the White House is telling CNN that former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is now considered a strong option, as others seem to be rushing to take their names out of the running, possibly unwilling to take on the firestorms that are waiting. Let's go to CNN's Caitlin Collins at the White House. And Caitlin, the job of White House Chief of Staff used to elevate people, but with Reince Priebus and John Kelly, arguably, it actually diminished their reputations.
And you better bet that's a big factor being considered by those people whose names are now being floated. Jake, what's complicating this search is that it essentially got started 24 hours ago because President Trump did not think Nick Ayers was going to decline this job, and there was no backup. Now old names are being floated, and essentially it is a free-for-all in Washington for who's going to be the next chief of staff. President Trump scrambling tonight as the hasty search for his next chief of staff continues, with no clear replacement in sight.
John Kelly will be leaving at the end of the year.
Who will replace John Kelly is now an open question after the top contender, Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Nick Ayers, turned the president down because they couldn't agree on timing. Trump wanted a 2-year commitment, but Ayers only wanted to run the West Wing on a temporary basis.
It might be on an interim basis. I'll be announcing that over the next day or two.
Trump writing on Twitter that he's in the process of interviewing some really great people and will make a decision soon, but denying he was close to making a deal with Ayers, even though sources say they'd already drafted a statement announcing his hiring before the negotiations fell apart. Despite having no obvious candidate in mind, Trump already has a to-do list for his next chief of staff, including shifting the West Wing's priorities away from legislation and policy to politics, according to sources who added that the president wanted Ayers to conduct a full review of West Wing operations, including staffing, because he's growing increasingly anxious about his political future, telling aides he needs all the help he can get before January, when newly empowered House Democrats take over.
Are you at all concerned about what happens next with the White House without John Kelly?
Well, it depends who they put in as a replacement.
The job hunt now underway and familiar names are resurfacing, including Congressman Mark Meadows, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, White House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney, and U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer. But not all of those being floated sound like they're up to the daunting task.
Is that a job you want?
The president has given me what is a very difficult job. I'm very, very happy doing it.
As Trump searches for his third chief of staff in under 2 years, his critics are reminding him of this tweet from 2012, when he criticized President Barack Obama for having 3 chiefs of staff in less than 3 years. Now, Jake, John Kelly attended a holiday party here at the White House last night. He is at work today, but there are only 3 weeks left for President Trump to find a replacement for him, and White House aides are very aware that time is ticking. Jake?
All right, Caitlin Collins, thanks so much. Now, since the Kelly news dropped, we now have sources saying that former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is in the running to replace Kelly. Republican Congressman Mark Meadows said publicly that serving as chief of staff would be an incredible honor, but a source told CNN that he's telling associates he's, quote, absolutely not interested. Steve Mnuchin says he can best serve in his current role as Treasury Secretary, according to a source. This is not the first time Mick Mulvaney's name has come up. A source told CNN the White House budget director is not interested, happy where he is. It seems that you can't sell a list of insiders on this job.
Yeah, I mean, this is a job, to state the obvious, that typically people really want this job. It is a resume maker, of course. And this is now a time where leaving the White House in a high-profile position as a cabinet member, as a senior White House official, is actually diminishing of your role, diminishing of your effectiveness. I was talking to a former colleague earlier today about this, who actually made an interesting point, which is it's actually tough for Trump because people thought that Nick Ayers was going to be the guy for months since we've been talking about Kelly's departure.
The vice president's chief of staff.
Yes, Nick Ayers, exactly. The vice president's chief of staff, that was assumed and then all of a sudden dropped. And you never want, as chaotic as this White House